Welcome back, everybody. It's K-Rugby TV. We're taking a look at what's happening in the world of Western Province Club Rugby. The scores, the results, the logs, the fixtures. And, of course, it is in the... Guys, I've got to ask you this. Does the season... We were talking about the fever of club rugby. Does the fever of club rugby get impacted by the weather at all? Both of you straight away with the no.
Now, look, we don't let the weather dampen our spirits. Yeah. That's one thing we can tell you here in Cape Town. I mean, it's part of what we're so used to it now. I mean, we know we're going to have 3 seasons in one day.
I've got to ask you guys, because the thing, I mean, I've played my fair share of rugby and done fair share of sport and so on, is the thing when I was watching the Hamilton's-Brackenfell game, it was not for me watching the game. What was going through my mind the whole time was, look at the guys sitting on the side of the field in their short pants and their jerseys in the storming rain and in the mud. It must be 5 degrees Celsius there. And what's more is when the game is finished, these guys have got to get into showers. Not every club has got warm showers. I mean, the torture that you go through just to be able to play 80 minutes of rugby in the rain.
James, it's called the love of rugby.
Yeah.
It's the beautiful game. You're never going to get that out of us. Like, there is, and you know what the funny thing is? There is something about playing in the rain that is actually quite lekker.
Yeah.
Like once you're in it, it's it's always that you get out, it's cold, you don't want to make that first contact, you're a little bit. But once the warm-up is going, that first kickoff comes, you want to grab that thing, you want to make your first contact, you want to get your hands on the ball, you want to get into the game nice and early. Then it's 80 minutes of a breeze.
So how much does that then, Renzo, how much does one then take then from the game of rugby actually being something that says to you, you've got to toughen up, you've got to get in there, you've got to start learning that life is not going to be honey and roses all the time. And rugby says to you, it's going to be cold at times. You've got to suck it up and you've got to get in there and play life in a similar manner.
Well, it's like, you chose that's very deep. Words, eh?
But he's dead right. I tell my youngsters this all the time. As I say to them that, to be a good rugby player, it doesn't just happen. You got to put in the work. It's same like life. You want to be good at anything in life, you've got to put in the work. You've got to show up for training. You've got to be on time. You've got to be held accountable. There's a lot of ththings that on a Saturday, you want to be the cool guy at the club afterwards, then you've got to put in the work during the week. And the same applies to life.
Yeah.
It's like I always say, it's like as coaches, we can only make you a good player between the 4 lines. But what you do outside the 4 lines is going to make you a great player. Correct. So that's my wise words for the day.
Well, these are the positives of why we play sport and what the different strengths are that come to the party. So, yeah, take those life lessons that you learn on the field, on the court, in the world of sport, and take them into the real world. SK Walmers was up against Kuilsriver. They played on Friday night, so the weather was a little bit better. Take a look at this. This was, of course, at the track. right, folks. Well, there you go. A good result there for SK Walmers. Rens. Let me go to you then. SK Walmers, the end result actually was delivered at 27-0, but then it was held up 22-0. Big result for SK Walmers.
Oh yeah, definitely. For SK almost getting that W, getting out of that bottom three there.
Yeah.
But I think also, first half 22-0, no score in the second half. So now you have to ask yourself: is it good defense or is it a bad attack?
Yeah. But really, Morgs, I must say, I know I don't know what we put at that. I'm a little bit lost. Naught for Kuilsriver. Surely a penalty or something.
Yeah, look, it's tough because I'll tell you why. At 22-0 at halftime, you can no longer, you don't necessarily, their mindset might have been we're going to try and score tries in the first half. They don't score any tries, they're 22-0 down at halftime. Going into the second half, they can no longer go for penalties because at 22, you're chasing 22 points. You're almost forced.
Okay, that's
you're
great.
4 scores away.
Yeah,
so now you've got to chase the game.
Yeah,
now everything you're kicking for the corner. Penalty, you potentially going for a scrum if you feel a scrum is dominant.
Yeah,
so you never actually ever score any points in the second half because you're chasing the game.
Well, I must say I'm thrilled that the way that you expressed it now and the way you explained it, I'm thrilled for that because it also maybe means that sometimes we look at games and there's information we don't have. So the way that you just explained, well, who knows, maybe it is. But anyway, great result for SK Walmers. Good points for them to take the points at home while you can get it, which is of course really important. Right, when we come back from the break, we're going to be taking a look at the match between NTK and Hamlets, and we'll bring you some of the fixtures coming up this weekend. Back in a sec.